She fouled out, had 6, and it was the ticky-tack fouls. And again, Caitlin Clark doing a little bit of an acting job. Not sure if that was actually...
I'm not here to apologize. I said what I said about Caitlin, and I meant every word. If that makes people uncomfortable, that's...
Caitlin Clark didn't just enter the WNBA with hype, she entered carrying history on her shoulders. She was the most anticipated player the league had ever seen, a record-breaking college career, a national spotlight, and a fan base that followed her from Iowa straight into the pros. She drew millions of eyes to the league, sold out arenas overnight, and became the face of women's basketball before playing a single WNBA possession, but all that attention came with a darker side, resentment. And worst of all, envy. Instead of being embraced as a generational talent, Caitlin has faced hostility on the court, off the court, and even in how the league responds to her treatment. We've seen flagrant fouls to the head, dead ball body checks, pokes to the eye, cheap shots in transition, players going out of their way to send a message. And the message is clear: you're not welcome here. There's a difference between playing tough and crossing the line repeatedly while officials look the other way and the league pretends it's just part of the game. This isn't about adjustment or initiation, it's targeted aggression fueled by jealousy, amplified by race, and tolerated by a system that refuses to hold anyone accountable. Through it all, Caitlin hasn't retaliated. She hasn't flopped, complained, or demanded special treatment. She absorbs the hits, helps her teammates up, and stays focused on the game. She speaks with maturity, leads with poise, and demonstrates more professionalism than many veterans. And yet, the very fact that she handles it so well only highlights the injustice, because the person doing everything right is the one being punished the most. What's happening to Caitlin Clark cannot be ignored. In this video, we'll show exactly what she's dealing with. The league can spin it any way it wants, but the footage doesn't lie. Before the season even settled, before headlines shifted from hype to gameplay, a subtle moment occurred that set the tone, not a foul, not a block, but a heavier moment, almost invisible in real time. It wasn't on ESPN. It wasn't caught by sideline reporters. But when it hit social media, it sparked outrage. And this wasn't about basketball, it was about something far deeper.
The ticky-tack fouls that we were talking about earlier.
The reaction was immediate. Viewers slowed it down, read the lips, replayed it again and again. The message was clear, and deeply uncomfortable. And the response? Nothing. No league statement, no disciplinary action, just silent. This isn't about exaggerating. It's about consistency. If the league truly stands for respect, inclusion, and progress, moments like this matter. Because if the roles had been reversed, if the words had come from someone else targeting a different player, there would have been press conferences, fines, and damage control. Instead, it was brushed aside. Caitlin didn't call attention to it. She didn't fan the flames. She stayed focused, stayed silent, and kept playing. But for anyone paying attention, this was the moment that revealed a deeper truth: this season wouldn't be just about basketball. Every uncalled foul, every heavy contact, every subtle act of aggression carried meaning beyond the game itself. Some plays don't need slow motion or expert analysis to prove a point. You just watch once, eyes open, full speed, and your gut knows something's wrong. The next moment is one of those. It didn't happen after a whistle. It didn't occur behind the play. It happened in plain sight, right in front of officials, cameras, and the crowd. And still, no reaction. Nothing. This isn't something you debate in a post-game interview. It's the kind of moment that leaves players shaking their heads and fans asking, what more does she have to endure? Caitlin doesn't flop. She doesn't embellish contact. She's one of the few guards who still powers through defenders the old-school way, upright, aggressive, and fearless. But here's the problem: the tougher she plays, the less protection she gets. No one in the league receives less, and this isn't an isolated incident. It's a pattern. One that forces Caitlin to adapt, not just to opponents, but to officials who seem unwilling to call the game fairly when she's involved. The question isn't whether she's getting fouled. It's how often the league will pretend it didn't happen. Every ignored play chips away at the game's integrity and sends a message, not just to Caitlin, but to everyone watching. If this is how you treat the league's brightest star, what else is allowed to slide? Fouls happen in basketball. That's understood. Players fight for position, contest shots, get physical. But this is different. The reaction, or lack thereof, says more than the foul itself. Before the whistle even blows, you see frustration, exaggerated gestures, and subtle hostility, all from a routine play that occurs dozens of times every night. The player on the receiving end, Angel Reese, committed the foul. Nothing extreme, no hard contact, just a routine play. Yet her reaction was loud, deliberate, and highly visible. Now compare that to how Caitlin Clark handles genuine hard contact, shoulder checks, flagrant fouls, even full-on collisions. She rarely flinches. No theatrics, no complaints. She absorbs it, gets back in the play, and moves forward as if it's just another possession. This moment with Reese became a flashpoint for fans, not because the foul was dramatic, but because the double standard was undeniable. The same players who aggressively defend Caitlin, throw elbows, and bump her on dead ball plays suddenly demand a whistle when someone merely brushes against them. And the officials? They respond immediately, the whistle blew. Meanwhile, when Caitlin is leveled, play continues. This isn't about whether Angel Reese is allowed to react. It's about why Caitlin Clark isn't afforded the same grace or protection. If we're talking toughness, let's be honest about who's actually demonstrating it. After Caitlin was assessed, a flagrant foul was called for what any observer could see was standard defensive contact, no elbow, no push, no dangerous follow-through. When asked for her reaction, Angel Reese's response said everything.
Rebecca Allen, too strong on a three. And look out, Caitlin Clark pushes Angel Reese, and Angel Reese gets right up.
No nuance. No context. Just a cold endorsement of a call that didn't make basketball sense, and wouldn't have been made for nearly anyone else. This wasn't the kind of foul that stops a game. Normally, it would barely earn free throws. But for Caitlin, it became something bigger, penalized, reviewed, flagged. Instead of calling it out for what it was, an overreaction, Reese used it to double down, validating the narrative that Caitlin deserves this treatment. It's worth repeating. The same league that waves off legitimate fouls against Caitlin has no problem turning minor contact by her into major punishments. And when Angel Reese, who plays physically, throws elbows, and has had her own fouls upgraded, says the refs got it right, it's more than a quote. It's a public signal. Different rules apply when Caitlin is on the floor. Reese didn't have to back the refs. She could have stayed neutral, called it a judgment call, but she didn't. Because now there's a comfort in watching Caitlin get punished. A culture is forming around targeting her, pretending it's just part of the game. This isn't physical basketball. This is reputation warfare. When even Caitlin's cleanest plays are flagged, and opponents feel emboldened to publicly support those calls, it's no longer about fouls. It's about erasing any margin of error, forcing her to play perfectly just to be treated normally. That quote from Reese wasn't about one play. It was a message everyone heard loud and clear. By now, the pattern is obvious. Caitlin Clark isn't just being challenged, she's being baited. Opponents aren't just playing hard, they're testing her limits, seeing how far they can go before the whistle blows. And this time, it's off the ball. Not a battle for position, not part of the action. The cameras catch another instance of intentional, unnecessary physicality, with Caitlin once again on the receiving end.
Basketball player, refs got it right. Go on.
There's nothing accidental about what happens here. The defender sees Caitlin, steps into her path, and initiates contact. Not during a scramble, not in a box out, just a straight-up, unprovoked hit. And the officials? Nothing. This has nothing to do with rookie treatment. Caitlin isn't a rookie, she's in her second year, fully adjusted to the pace, knows the system, and has proven she can handle physical defense. What she's dealing with isn't basketball, it's a campaign. Opponents are testing how often they can body her, how many times they can go chest to chest without being whistled at. And the scariest part? They are starting to realize they'll get away with it, but Caitlin doesn't take the bait. She doesn't react emotionally or escalate. She absorbs the contact, regroups, and moves to the next play. The league preaches professionalism and wants stars who carry themselves with class, but when it has won, it turns a blind eye while she's targeted night after night. No memo, no statement, no public support, just another hit, another non-call, another shrug from those in charge. If this exact clip happened to a different player, it would be a technical. For Caitlin, it's business as usual. She doesn't just play through contact, she's forced to. She drives into traffic, takes hits, and keeps playing like nothing happened. That expectation doesn't apply equally across the league, but for her, it's the rule. In the next sequence, Caitlin gets the ball, makes her move, and drives with purpose. Arms swipe across her body, defender bumps her side, and physical disruption breaks her rhythm as she goes up for the shot. Every frame confirms what viewers saw in real time, a foul, but no whistle. The game moves on. Caitlin doesn't stop to argue. She doesn't yell at the official. She runs back on defense, while her coach stares in disbelief and the bench leans forward, anticipating the replay. This is what makes her treatment different. When other players, even stars, draw contact like this, the call usually comes immediately. With Caitlin, the standard shifts. Plays that trigger whistles for others become unclear decisions for her. The contact isn't enough. What's developing isn't just a bad call, it's a dangerous precedent. Officials are setting a tone where opponents feel emboldened to hit Caitlin harder, more often, with less fear of consequence. Players notice. Everyone knows who gets calls in this league, and who doesn't. Physical defense is one thing. Trash talk, hard fouls, off-ball bumping, those are part of the game. But sometimes a single moment makes people stop, rewind, and ask, did that really just happen? This next sequence had no developing play, no screen, no contested drive. It wasn't live ball chaos or a box out under the rim. Yet it became one of the most talked about actions of the year.
There's a lot of bumping and chippiness at half court between Ryan Howard and Caitlin Clark.
And last game,
The replay didn't require analysis. The intent was obvious, and the fallout was immediate. Fans, analysts, and former players couldn't believe what they were seeing. Yet on the court, the response was silence. Caitlin was left on the ground. No teammates intervened. The referees didn't call a flagrant in real time. It took a post-game review for the league to finally upgrade the foul. Caitlin got up without a word, but Kennedy Carter's teammates were celebrating, laughing. There was no remorse, only a willingness to lean into it. This wasn't defense. This was retaliation. For what? For being the league's most watched player. For refusing to back down. For taking the spotlight and keeping it. That hit confirmed what many had feared. Caitlin isn't just being defended hard, she's being hunted. One of the worst plays against her didn't happen in a high-speed collision or a contested rebound. It happened on a drive to the basket, in full view of referees, fans, and cameras. There was no ambiguity. No debate. Freeze the frame at any point, and the intent is clear.
Call. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Kennedy Carter.
Direct contact to Caitlin's head. Angel Reese swung hard, and it landed. A full-on strike to the top of Caitlin's head as she attempted to finish at the rim. It was ruled a flagrant one, not by guesswork, but because the evidence left no doubt. This wasn't a swipe at the ball or an attempt to block the shot, it was a clear, dangerous foul, the kind of contact that could have caused serious injury. Reese didn't check on her. She didn't say a word. And just like in previous games, Caitlin got up without flinching, made her free throws, and continued playing. No drama, but the clip tells the story. When people question whether Caitlin is overreacting to the way she's treated, they should look here. If this same play happened to anyone else, it would have sparked league-wide outrage. But because it was Caitlin, it was just another replay, another clip to scroll past. There's a growing list of players who have fouled, shoved, and hit her in ways that go far beyond basketball. The reaction is almost always the same: shrug, say nothing, move on. Caitlin never responds with cheap shots. She never escalates. She absorbs it all. And the league seems to expect her to. Caitlin Clark isn't asking for special treatment. The least she should expect is to move without being physically targeted. That shouldn't be a controversial ask in a professional league, yet plays like this keep happening. She's simply running, no ball, no screen, no setup, and a defender runs in, initiating unnecessary contact. Subtle, intentional, cumulative. These hits don't show up in the box score. They are not headline worthy. But they add up over a game, over a season, and they tell the same story: we're going to make everything harder for you. Not just when you shoot, not just when you drive, but every time you move, and the worst part, no one intervenes. No warning. No league memo. Just another play quietly reinforcing the message that Caitlin is fair game. She's expected to play with poise while others chip away at her rhythm, her space, and her movement, with no accountability from those in charge. Most players can handle physical defense. It's part of the game. But there's a line where contact stops being tough and starts being reckless, dangerous, and targeted.
Leave to Angel Reese. Yep, across the head, and they will go to the monitor to review this.
Caitlin Clark gets poked directly in the eye. This isn't incidental, and it isn't masked by another play. The defender's hand swings across her face and lands squarely. Her head snaps back slightly. She steps back, visibly in discomfort. And yet, no whistle, no stoppage, no recognition that this could have caused a serious eye injury. It's easy to forget how dangerous something like this can be. One wrong angle, 1 inch higher, and she could be dealing with a scratched cornea, or worse. But the league treats it like a casual bump. Caitlin blinks through the pain, regains her focus, and continues. No scene. No complaints. Just a quiet recovery and back to the play. There's an unspoken expectation now: Caitlin can take anything. She'll shake it off, walk it off, play through it. But no player, no matter how mentally tough, should have to absorb this level of disregard for their safety. Especially not the face of the league. It's one thing to get fouled. It's another entirely to get fouled consistently and watch the referees look the other way. The contact in this next clip isn't hidden. It's not borderline. It's not something that only shows up on replay. It's blatant.
With no whistle.
Caitlin drives through the lane and takes a clear hit, body, arms, everything. And there's no whistle. None. Once again, she has to finish the play while absorbing contact that would have drawn a foul 9 times out of 10 for anyone else. Plays like this aren't about being soft or avoiding competition, they're about consistency. If you're going to call fouls on one end, call them on the other. If you're going to reward aggressive play, don't punish Caitlin for having the strength to play through it. Yet it continues. Game after game, she gets bumped, grabbed, hacked, and is expected to act like it didn't happen. No protection. No accountability. Just the assumption that she will deal with it because she always does. But just because she doesn't fall over or make a scene doesn't mean she's not being fouled. It means she's disciplined enough not to let it become the story. There's a basic rule in basketball: when a shooter rises for a jumper, don't land under them. Don't invade their space. Don't give them a reason to fear injury. It's one of the most emphasized safety rules in the sport because one wrong landing can cost a player their season. That's why this play, and the countless like it, is so frustrating.
Caitlin Clark, from the second she touches the basketball, that's what Burton did there. All over Caitlin going inside. I mean, that's a...
Caitlin pulls up for a clean jumper. The defender closes out too hard, lands under her space, and bumps her midair. Her momentum shifts. She lands awkwardly. Still no call. Everyone in the arena saw it. The bench reacts, but the refs stay silent. This isn't just a foul, it's the kind of play every rule book is supposed to prevent. The kind of contact that has ended careers. And yet, it goes unpunished. The message couldn't be clearer: Caitlin Clark is not getting the same level of protection that every other star receives. She's leading the league in jersey sales, driving ratings, packing arenas, and when she jumps for a shot, she doesn't even get basic landing space. What more does she have to earn? You can measure greatness in points, assists, or highlight reels.
Here's Clark, 3 to shoot. Gonna have to hoist from the logo, an air ball, and Clark.
But sometimes the most telling stat is what a player has to endure, and how they respond. Caitlin has been elbowed, shoved, poked, shoulder-checked, tackled, and disrespected in ways few players ever are, especially in their second year. She's faced physical targeting, double standards from officials, and silence from the league meant to protect her. And through it all, she keeps showing up. She hits logo threes. She moves without the ball. She absorbs contact without reacting. She elevates her team while carrying a spotlight bigger than the WNBA has ever seen. Some say she gets too much attention. Others say she hasn't earned respect. But with every game, every hit, every missed call, it's becoming clearer. She's playing through more than defenders, she's playing through hate, jealousy, and biased officiating, and yet, she's not asking for anything extra. Just a fair game. Maybe the most impressive thing about Caitlin Clark is that even when the game isn't fair, she keeps finding ways to win.